T.S. Eliot starts his masterpiece, The Wasteland, with an epigraph in Greek and Latin, which of course he does not translate. It refers to an ancient text from Petronius, and it refers to an ancient Greek oracle, the Sibyl, who was granted immortality by Apollo, forgot to ask for eternal youth. So she regrets her wish because she grows older and older and she never dies. Let us read it. Nam sibullam quidem cumis ego ipse oculis meis vidi in ampulla pendere, et cum illi pueri dicerent. Sibylla ti feleis respondebat illa apo phanein phelo. That is, I saw with my own eyes, ego ipse oculis meis vidi, the Sibyl hanging in a cage, Sibyllam pendere in ampulla, cumis, cume, and cum illi pueri dicerent, and when the boys said to her, Sibylla ti feleis, Sibyl, what do you want? Illa respondebat, she answered, apo phanein phelo, I want to die. Probably the Sibyl refers to Europe. Remember that Ezra Pound had defined Europe as an old bitch with dirty teeth, gone in her teeth. This is Europe. T.S. Eliot then addresses Ezra Pound. He writes, Ezra Pound, il miglior fabbro, in Italian. It's a quotation from Dante, and it's a way of saying thanks to T.S. Eliot, to Ezra Pound, as Pound had edited the Wasteland. Pound collaborated in the writing of the poem by shortening it at many points and by isolating those moments when Eliot kind of sounded like romantic poets. You must not forget that modern poets, Pound, Eliot, were against the way romantic poets made poetry because they were too self-centered. There was this constant presence of the speaking voice of the poet, and the poet constantly said what he felt, what he thought. He presented his feelings. According to Ezra Pound, and therefore according to T.S. Eliot, the poet's task is not to say or to present. The poet has to show, remember les imagistes, the theory of image making. A poem has to create, to depict an image, just like Chinese and Japanese haiku poems did. So the intervention Pound made upon the Wasteland was deleting those parts, those sections where Eliot wrote like romantic poets did. This is what they did not have to do. Okay, so the wasteland is made of 5 parts. Each part is dedicated to an element: water, fire, earth, and each section has a title and a theme. Part 1 is the burial of the dead, and it's about life and death, fertility and sterility, hope and despair. A game of chess is part 2, reinforces this idea of sterility, the sterility of modern life as compared to the splendor of the past. So the mythical method once again. Part 3 is the fire sermon. It's about love, sex, and the fact that the modern version of love is just sterile sexual desire. In modern times, people do not love, they just make sex, they just have sex, they do not love. And remember that Pound said, amo ergo sum, referring to the fact that in a possible future paradise, as Pound said in the Cantos, this new humanity will learn how to love and not just have sex again. Part 4 is death by water. In part 4, Eliot describes the decomposition of a drowned sailor, Phlebas the Phoenician, another reference to an ancient culture. Part 5 is what the thunder said, and it represents humanity in the desert of modernity. The title suggests the idea of a possible revelation which never comes, So let's start from part 1, the burial of the dead. It is dedicated to the earth, The earth is desolated. Roots are not fertile. They are sterile. In fact, he says, dull roots. And April, which is the month of spring, of new life, of rebirth, of regeneration, becomes the cruelest month because it promises a physical and spiritual regeneration that can take place. So there's a first symbolic inversion posed by T.S. Eliot. April becomes a cruel month because it reminds man of their mythical past, and it promises a new life. So winter is a better season because it keeps man warm under its forgetful snow. In winter, men don't suffer, or at least they suffer less because they don't think back to their old life, to their hopes. Their memories are frozen and forgotten. The fire sermon is the description of a sexual encounter, basically, between a young man and a young woman. A typist, this young lady, who meets a clerk, so two characters of urban life. You may think of two people in Paris, in London. In her apartment, they have a sexual encounter, but there's no passion in their meeting, no love, and she is almost relieved when he leaves. And the episode is narrated by Tiresias, the ancient prophet, a Greek mythological character. Tiresias is blind, yet he is a prophet. He, she, because we must not forget that in Ovid's Metamorphosis, we find the story of Tiresias. He separated two snakes which were copulating, and for this he was turned into a woman. 7 years later, he did the same and he was reconverted to a man. So Tiresias has experienced being a man and being a woman. So there's a point in having Tiresias describe this sexual encounter. Tiresias has experienced the female and the male point of view, and he can combine the 2 points of view into some kind of unified conscience, a unified, we may say, an androgynous point of view. Tiresias is all men and all women inside the same character. Of course, this is another way of applying the mythical method. We have the sexual encounter of a man and a woman in Paris, in London, in modern times, narrated by Tiresias, who belongs to classical mythology, to Greek mythology. Tiresias so unifies past and present, myth and reality, past and present. So the mythical method, once again. In the final section, what the thunder said, there's a return to some kind of divine speech, the promise of rain, of water, of new life. So some kind of hope can be found in the final section. The divine speech is just a syllable, da. Da can be interpreted in 3 ways. Da can be give, or be compassionate, or control yourselves. So 3 ways of interpreting what the thunder said. Eliot does not say God, he said the thunder. So the only way to put an end to the sterility and desolation of the wasteland is to open our heart to the others, to be helpful, so give without conditions, to be compassionate, and to control ourselves. This can somehow remind us of Schopenhauer's idea of noluntas, control yourselves. And the poem ends with some kind of religious formula, shanti, 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 peace, peace, peace. What kind of peace? Once again, Schopenhauer, a kind of peace that goes beyond understanding, some kind of nirvana, peace that passes understanding. So even in the wasteland, in the final section, we can find some kind of hope.